might be my most prolific year at the LA Times in terms of everything that I wrote about, everything that I covered.
I think we know why he's
the awards, proclamation for Congress, I was kicking ass in 2024, and yet I find myself completely uncomfortable. As much as I resisted even just having my name out there first on anything, the reality is I kind of run out of places to hide. I keep next level. There is no next level for me. I've worked at basically every major newspaper, every major television station, and I've worked in all the major cities. The next level is just me. I've built a career looking at the intersection of sports, NBA gets it right, culture, because you wanted to check my black card, and politics. I see it as a reflection of this will continue to be an extension of that.
If the money's no good or the location.
To find a comedian who believes that,
Welcome to the LZ Granderson Show. Welcome to the LZ Granderson Show. I am your host, LZ, and today is Thursday, July 3rd, and here are the three things I'm looking at and why. Number one, of course, it's the Lakers. You guys need a center. I could go on and on forever and a day, but I think we can all agree that at 41 years old, LeBron James should not be expected to guard Rudy Gobert or Joker or anyone else who's 50 pounds heavier and about 7 inches taller than he is. Rob, I don't know what you're waiting for. I don't know what center you're trying to get, but man, you cannot enter this next season thinking Jackson Hayes and LeBron James is going to get us over the top. You've got to improve that spot. I know you know this, but that's what I'm looking at. Number two, I'm looking at hip-hop. I'm looking at hip-hop because the court of law has already said what it needs to say in regards to Diddy. Now I'm curious to see what the men of hip-hop are going to do. It's really easy to clown him for, the freak off and the baby oil and all the homophobia and everything that's surrounding it. But at the end of the day, he's a really good music producer. And so I'm trying to figure out whether or not the men of hip hop are going to have enough integrity to say, you know what, you might be a great artist, but I can't really fuck with everything else that you're about. Or are they going to say, you know what, hey, she made her choices and keep it pushing. I'm really curious to see what the men of hip hop are going to do now that Diddy's trial has come to a close. And number three, speaking of hip hop, my conversation with Big Sean out of Detroit. This podcast started off on Juneteenth with a conversation with Grammy winner Ledisi. We met on and spoke with showrunner Ben Watkins, who won an NAACP award for his prime show Cross. And now we're on to multi-platinum selling superstar Big Sean. We're going to talk about what he's using his platform for during his time of Trump, our upbringing similarities in terms of Detroit, and just how amazing our high school was, or still is. So I hope you enjoy the conversation. It's wide-ranging, and I really enjoy the fact that Big Sean gave a shout-out to James Brown. You'll see what I'm talking about. So I want to get started and just sort of lay out why I'm so excited to talk to you in particular for this project because of the high school that you and I both went to, Cass Tech.
You have a great, amazing, strong black voice, bro. And just I appreciate you just being at the forefront and, being so passionate about these topics. And, it's you few and far between when it comes to black men out here expressing themselves and sitting in the seats you're sitting in, bro. So I appreciate it for sure.
Thanks, man, brother. I really appreciate it. Yeah. I'm just trying to make sure I pass it on to the next generation like you, man. Cass Tech, for those who don't know, it's widely considered to be one of the best high schools in the country and has been for a long time. Certainly one of the best schools in the state of Michigan, and has produced a lot of world changers from Diana Ross and Lily Tomlin to Big Sean. And one of the things that was really important to those of us who went to the school was having an impact on the world. That was really driven into us as students of Cass Tech.
That's right.
And so, Sean, I guess my first question to you in this conversation is, are you planning on hitting the studio anytime soon with, the current events in mind, or are you just more observing and kind of digesting and processing it still?
Yeah, I'm in the studio every day. And I'm just letting it flow. Creatively, I am speaking about what's on my heart and recognizing it. I have not been rapping about these things in real time because sometimes for me, I need to digest life and things need to settle in my consciousness, so but it is definitely something that I'm experiencing fully.
One of the things that I love about your work is the fact that you are willing to be introspective and to be vulnerable.
Hmm.
Um, when you think about what's happening in the world as an artist and as a father, what's the balance in your head between having that exterior of what it means to be a man in this world, while also having the vulnerability to allow your son and your ecosystem around you to kind of see you as a full human being and not just a robot.
I mean, yeah, it's important to be authentic to yourself and to stay true to who you are and be expressive. I think those are the things that not even as a creative, just as a human being is important. And when you are raising a family, when you are part of a family, not it doesn't even it's not even necessarily about raising a kid. Like when you're a part of a family more so, whether you're a son, a brother, a sister, a mother, father, it's important to just show up as your best self and your highest self and your um and most confident self and express what you believe in and be an example in any way possible. You know what I mean? And I think that when you come from a place like Detroit where we've seen so much just so many just ups and downs, just to sum it up, like so much adversity, so much struggle, so much perseverance, so much joy, so much artistry, so much experience, so much life. um you walk with a certain authenticity to yourself, and I can only speak that because that's where I grew up. I'm sure a lot of places are the same. I'm sure LA is another place like that. I'm sure uh Houston and DC and all these places, they all have their own Philadelphia roots and history. And but coming from Detroit, I just feel like that's you walk with pride and you express yourself and you are true to yourself.
Absolutely, man. I mean, it's everything from the way we dress with the Stacey Adams to the music we produce. From Motown to house music. People don't know we gave you techno first.
Yeah,
We've all
techno is a product of Detroit music, and that was made out of struggle. That was made as a
right,
product of. I feel like Midwest in general for it produced the house music aspect of it, obviously, but like Detroit was a part of that, and techno for sure is specific to Detroit. As far as the incubation and the creation of it, like, but yeah, man, and Motown to me, which is still the greatest music era of all time to me. You want to talk about Diana Ross and Stevie Wonder and the Jackson Five and Isley Brothers, Marvin Gaye. I mean, Aretha was in Motown, but I feel like she's in that era.
right,
You know what I
right,
mean?
for sure, for sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And all of those artists that you're talking about, at some point or another were either directly involved in the civil rights movement or directly involved in or directly focused and speaking out in their songs, in their music,
Mm-hmm.
or whether it's donations or marching during the civil rights movement in the 1960s. They all seem to be involved. And obviously, for me, I'm not sure how you feel about it, but I think the best capstone out of all of that Detroit, movement, particularly when it comes to Motown, and just that time period in general. Marvin Gaye's, What's Going On.
Mm-hmm.
A complete socially conscious,
Album.
opera, if you will.
Mm-hmm. And the whole album, the What's Going On album.
Right,
I think it was the first concept R&B album ever. He wrote it from the perspective of his brother returning from the war, and I just thought that was just so cool. You should look in. I don't know if you know, but like the story of even like how he got denied from Berry Gordy to do it, and like
Mm-hmm.
leaked the record, leaked what's going on, and then got all these calls. Berry Gordy, you're a genius, and Berry Gordy like, man, can you get the album done in 30 days? It's like a whole incredible story. So Marvin Gaye is, that's why he's one of my favorite artists. But that comes back to the point of listening to yourself. And no matter how hard it is, sometimes you always got to listen to yourself, man. And I think that's like, as a black man and as a speaker from that perspective, it's just I feel like in our DNA we've been coded to like be beat down and to be like put in line and to be uh, beaten, figuratively and literally. So I think we have to work that much harder to uncode some of those programmings and to focus on our evolution and our confidence and our dominance and our magic that we have. And that's what happens when, because we're such incredible magic beings that it's like we really have to concentrate on freeing ourselves from our past and really honing in on our greatness that we have on a cellular level, on down to our DNA. You know what I mean?
What do you mean when you say, to get beyond our past? Do you mean like the immediate past or like the global world history past in terms of enslavement and the transatlantic slave trade?
Yeah, I mean like enslavement. I mean like the mentality of like when I grew up, it was like you got to stay in line. You have to like, my mom had she had a fear-based way of thinking, as amazing as she is. Same with my dad, who grew up in Monroe, Louisiana, meaning that, he would get beat for being on the wrong sides of the train tracks, right? Like, or, my mom having to drink out of a different water fountain because she was black, all of these type of psychological um, traumas that get passed on to our kids until we deal with them and unpack them. That's what I mean from the past holding us back. I mean, there are also things from the past that give us an advantage. Uh, two things could be true at once. So, there are things that may hold us back to work on, and then there are things that give us strength as well. The strength, the perseverance, the endurance that we
Let's unpack that. Let's unpack that strength and perseverance and endurance that you're talking about.
have.
What are some of the examples that you're looking at when you say that? What's in your head?
When I say that, what's in my head um is doing this inner work. When I say that, I think of like doing the inner work of being able to give more and more freedom to the next generation. So meaning like, my parents were able to give me a different life than my grandparents who had to work on a farm, who grew up down south, who experienced a lot of inequality, which we still do in different ways. But they're living a different life. They work their ass off to to give my parents a better life, and my parents worked their ass off to give us a different life, of advantages, a life of that is a little bit better than it used to be for them when it came to segregation, when it came to the hate they would feel for just being and how they looked and who they are. So for me, when I say that, the perseverance and endurance is that, yeah, it's different when the disadvantage, it used to be a disadvantage, but I feel like it used to be a disadvantage to being black. Now I feel like it's an advantage. I feel like people have made us feel proud, and I feel like it all started with the civil rights movement, with James Brown, with artists like Aretha Franklin, with like Marvin Gaye, highlighting issues of what we were going through, staying strong. Dr. Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and like persevering. So what I mean is the endurance of black people is that we've had to endure and work twice as hard, maybe to get to the same point. of somebody who is white. You know what I'm saying? And so when I say endurance, like I know my ancestors, I know like my great great auntie's DNA who was a slave, her DNA is a part of me. And I know that the things that she was, everything she was, the good and, you know, the struggle is a part of me. So I have to do my best to unpack that in any way that I feel suit, any way that I feel like may affect me, meaning like any trauma that I may have, whether it's trauma from my life or trauma from something I have no idea about. Like, I know it sounds pretty vague, but, that's the reason why I do self work, why I express how I feel, write things down in journals, why I meditate, why I've done therapy to understand myself better because, I can't just like think that I have all the answers and I know it all because I don't.
When you're in this space of questioning and trying to have, some clarity in terms of why you are the way you are, um, what do you use in terms of prompts? Is there anything like, is there a space that, helps you in this area? Is there a particular sound or smell, music maybe, that you kind of turn to kind of help you get into this space in which you can really do this work on yourself that you're referring to?
Well, I don't want people to think that it's something that I need to like. It's just taking time for myself. It's really just taking, even if it's just the first part of my morning for myself when I can. Obviously,
Hmm.
when you have a kid, sometimes it doesn't go that way, but being able
Yes.
to, being able to stay quiet, having a relationship with God, being able to talk to God, um, for me has been amazing. Being able to journal and write things down, being able to give it up to God, you know, meaning that sometimes as human beings, we try and have all the answers. We want to have all of it laid out in front of us, and that's not how it goes. And sometimes you have to give it up to God. Sometimes you got to put your attention on your intention and leave the details to God. And that's what I've been learning to do is like have more faith, um, and test my faith more and strengthen my faith, and realize how important it is to every aspect of my life, my personal life, my career, my business, and how empowering it is, how much energy it gives me.
Mhm.
Uh, when I don't have the strength, it's like the strength comes from somewhere else and I'm able to get through it and realize how much of a blessing it is to be here at the same time. To realize to wake up on this side of things, to wake up on this side of it is a true blessing every single day. And it's so temporary. And it's so temporary that when you're in the moment, you don't realize how special everything really is.
You know, a lot of people applaud you for like what you just said, being that vulnerable, being willing to talk about not having all the answers.
Hmm.
And yet when you look out in society and the larger society, a lot of people, particularly men, interpret that as being soft or being weak or being, being a pussy.
Hmm.
How do you maintain this sort of, I guess, confidence to stand your ground in the music industry that you're in, the particular genre that you're working in, where hyper masculinity is the currency, not necessarily vulnerability?
I mean, you realize that everyone else isn't you. So as much as we love people's opinions, as much as we, I realize that everyone has an opinion, everyone has different tastes. Some people are gonna judge you, but we all are here trying to figure it out. We all are here figuring out. And to me, I realized that you just have to be comfortable with yourself, because being in the business of trying to please everyone or a group of people is just a business you'll probably never truly be successful at because things change, people change, opinions change, circumstances change, feelings change, I think that's why it's important to just get right with yourself first and foremost and realize that everything else is conditional. But how you show up as yourself, the faith that you're building, the character you are, that is unconditional if you make it that. And to me, that what's unconditional cannot be even doesn't even compare to these dopamine hits or these um you know instant gratification. And not to say that we don't need it. Like, I'm an artist, right? So I appreciate when people listen to my music or relate to my work or read my book and connect with it or connect with a message I have. It's very appreciative, but I'm gonna do it either way. It's not based off of the
Hmm.
success I see. It's based off of what I feel I need to get off of my chest or my heart or for me and for the betterment of humanity to serve. That's the whole. That's my whole thing. Is like I'm really doing this for a service. For people who need it. So or would like it or can enjoy it.
Do you still find yourself as an artist still very much in this place of wanting to kind of help heal people, or are you being drawn to some other aspect of life now that you're a father or that you're a little bit older, or where Big Sean was a decade ago is not where he is today in life. So I'm just curious as to what is your approach now to your writing.
Man, my approach to my writing is to have fun with it. Honestly, that's like I realize that when you have fun with it, you're bringing your highest self to the table. That's like this the reason I meditate. It's the reason I journal is to put myself on the highest vibration and realize that when you're having fun, you're at your best. That's why I feel like it's important to have fun with whatever you do. People will have a job. One of the things people ask me is like, how do I find my purpose? And I'm like, well, to me, your purpose is whatever you're doing on purpose, with purpose. So it doesn't have to be your job, doesn't necessarily have to be your purpose. It can be. Your hobby doesn't necessarily have to be your purpose. It can be. A person can be your purpose, or a feeling could be your purpose, or maybe just to get the best out of life could be your purpose. Like, the thing is, maybe you could have more than one purpose. I think people always
Mm.
try and find out what their purpose is and try and relate it to their job. And I realized that, say your job isn't your purpose, say you have to do a job where you're neutral about, or a job you even hate, you are still in control is what you got to realize, and you can still make that job as fun as possible. You can still make it to not only to where you enjoy it, to where you can apply purpose to it. You know what I'm saying? So every situation is different, and I'm speaking in a very broad way and trying to summarize it, but my point being is that our experience here is so limited. It's like you really can make the best out of it. It really is up to you. It really is like how you decide to feel about things. So
Absolutely.
when I'm making music, I'm like, yo, I need to just feel as good as I can. Unless I'm getting something off of my heart, unless I'm doing something that is making me like emotional and cry by expressing it, which I have done songs like that. There is a song I'm working on that really did actually bring me to tears as I was working on it, like a couple weeks ago. Um, so
What is it about?
it's about looking in the mirror and not recognizing yourself, and I think it helped me connect with a part of my life that I may have never expressed in that way. So it was a song about just like not recognizing myself anymore and really just giving it up to God. And asking for forgiveness for being led astray in that way. Essentially that's what the song is about. I break it down a little differently, but that's what it's about, to sum it up.
Your faith is really important to you. You've talked about it a lot just in the short time that we've been, in this conversation. I'm curious if a gospel album is coming your way.
I don't see a gospel album coming my way. I appreciate gospel music. I love like the Winans family is like my favorite gospel family. Obviously Detroit.
We from Detroit. We kind of have to say that, otherwise we can't go back.
I mean, that is true, but they truly are the best too. That's what's funny about it. It's like, I am really cool with Kirk Franklin too. That's my boy. And like I would love to collaborate, with gospel artists and can do that, but I don't really see a full gospel album for me yet. Not to say it would never happen, but um I think that I'm just keeping it real. Like you know, you could still have faith in yourself and have faith in God and still make just, whatever you want to do with your art and have fun with it. So that's kind of just where I'm at. Just expressing myself, being real with myself. And yeah. And like and like I said, having fun and really I've really been feeling good about rapping lately. Like I just been really just
Hmm.
like trying to
Were you in a bad place before?
not in a bad place, but I'm just feeling like more I guess the right word is excited. I'm excited to rap now. Like I don't know what happened. I not to say I wasn't, but I just feel more energized or something these last couple months when I hit the studio. Like just feeling a fire. And I'm really appreciative of that. Like I give thanks to that every day that I feel like the passion, um, and just the urgency of wanting to like get to the studio and like unleash, And so
You know, this
yeah.
this, this conversation we're having is part of a larger piece I'm doing around Juneteenth.
Mhm.
And the reason why I chose Juneteenth was because it will be the 1 year anniversary of Kendrick's Popout,
Mhm.
which kind of was like the finishing touches on his beef with Drake.
Mhm.
I'm kind of curious, you talked about feeling good about rap again. How did you process that beef in terms of the energy around hip hop? I'm not going to ask you to say who won or pick a side, anything like that,
Mhm.
because one, that's old news, but also two, well, I don't find that to be productive. What I do find productive though is how did you process the energy
It was
around hip
exciting.
hop?
It was exciting.
Yeah, right?
It was exciting. It was the same way how I feel like when I watch the NFL or when I watch the NBA or the MLB, like, or NHL. It just felt very like a it felt eventful. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's how everyone else took it too. I think some people took it more personally than that, but I just was enjoying the sport of it.
Has it been
But when I
something
think
that,
about Juneteenth though,
uh huh,
away from that, I think that Juneteenth is what do I really think about Juneteenth? Let me see. I know I feel good. The last few Juneteenths I've just been feeling good. I feel like it's a great time to celebrate being black, celebrate, I think that's something that doesn't necessarily have to be reserved to one day though, but I think it's kind of a cool national holiday, you know. And I'm glad about that.
for sure, for
Hmm.
sure.
Yeah, I feel like being black it's fucking awesome, and I feel like that we worked as a people to get there to feel like that, you know. That's why I'm so thankful for the people who made us just, the black and I'm proud. Say a lot, I'm black and I'm proud. Like I really fuck with James Brown for that. Like I really do. As crazy as he was, and we talking about the Godfather of Soul. Like, I really had to go back and listen to James Brown and like really get in his vibe because I know he's the most sampled man in hip hop as well. Um,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I've sampled him myself a few times. But I just think that we've worked so hard to feel proud and happy about ourselves, and there's nothing else I'd rather be, than to be a black man. So, I mean, I don't want to say black man just to be black. I'll just leave that. Not because black women are the shit too. You feel me? Like, I love my
I would like to
women.
I like to shift gears just for a second because we do have this, Detroit, tie growing up, and I'm just kind of curious. When I was in school downtown Detroit, um, I spent most of my time hanging around Greektown, eating Pizza Populis, Hart Plaza.
Mm-hmm.
Just basically just kind of exploring the city. I'm kind of curious because we experienced Detroit in two different eras of the city. I'm curious as to how did you experience the city, and when you hear people talk negatively about Detroit, how do you handle it? Because I get mad. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie.
I mean,
I still get mad.
I feel like when anyone talk about the crib negatively, whether it's a city, whether it's your house, literally, like, yeah, you're gonna get mad for sure because yeah, it is a beautiful place and it's full of beautiful people. I think that's the heart to me. The people from Detroit have so much heart. They got so much spirit. I guess that's the way to look at it. Like, it's just something special to me. And I know I'm biased because I'm from there, but yeah, it is something very, very special about Detroit and the people from Detroit and the music from Detroit and just food from Detroit. It's a it's a lot of ghetto shit going on there too, but I think that's it's still fun though. It's still like awesome. Yeah, so I don't know if that answers the question, but
No, no, no.
I
It's
definitely get I definitely get emotional over Detroit for sure.
Who was your favorite teacher at Cass? Mine was Marilyn McCormick. She was the drama and speech teacher.
Oh, Miss McCormick.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Did you have her?
yeah, for sure. She was at her end of her career when I was there. Yeah, she was great. She was one of my favorite teachers as well. I think she was so many people's favorite teacher. I loved her. I loved um man, I'm trying to think my favorite teachers.
Because you went to the new school. You
No, no,
had
no.
the
I
new
mean,
building.
I went to the pickle factory though, and I went
Oh,
and I
did you?
graduated. Yeah, and I graduated from the. I was the first class to graduate from the new school, so it was only my senior year when I graduated from the new school.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so Miss McCormick. I had some great teachers there, Miss Das Gupta, Mr. Dunmore, like a lot of teachers
Mr.
who,
Dunmore.
yeah. Who else? That
Did you have a hard time? What part of the city did you grow up in? I started when I was at Cass.
hmm
I was on the northwest side of Detroit, so I was like, near 8 Mile and Schaefer area.
Okay, yeah,
Um,
I was by U of D High School, so I was over there.
okay,
Yeah, I mean, well, technically it was Northline and Curtis, so kind of near like the Lou's Deli on
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mile and all that. So yeah, that's the bus I would take to school though. Was I would walk to 7 Mile and take the what bus was that called?
The one that went downtown, dropped you off like on the
Yeah,
second.
yeah, yeah, for sure. I'm trying to think of
Yeah,
the name of the bus though. It was can't remember the name
they
of
call
it.
it the rough and dirty in LA. I forgot what we called it.
Yeah, it was the damn, I can't think of the name. I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, that's the bus I took every day from ninth grade to 11th grade, and then my grandma had a stroke and couldn't drive
Oh,
anymore. Her right side went completely paralyzed, and she ended up gifting me her car.
oh,
It was a very bittersweet gift, obviously, because
right.
it was for herself, but I was able to drive after that. But yeah, I used to take the bus there and back every day. I had my bus pass. I would see the craziest shit on the bus. Like that could be a whole TV series on its own, man. It was like adventures every day was like something new on the bus. Especially like after school. I remember Jay-Z came to Cass one time and I was in the was I in the ninth grade? It was when he put out Blueprint 2. He
Okay.
did a high school tour. And he came to Cass Tech, and I didn't see him because it was like the whole school was trying to get into where he was, and I couldn't see him.
Oh,
And
wow.
and I remember I had to get on a bus, and it was this one girl I knew, and she painted her whole like face with like all this makeup of like Jay-Z artwork and like his name, and she was crying. And
Oh my gosh.
I remember like comforting her on the bus because she was so disappointed she couldn't see Jay-Z. She had a sign and everything like ready for him. But I just remember how crazy it was, like Jay-Z being there and everyone being on the bus and playing his new album, and like it was quite a moment actually.
I bet, man.
Hmm.
I'm trying to think. We didn't have nobody like that drop by Cast Tech, so
I
you
mean, that
had a
was the
different
only
experience.
time. That was the only time when someone like that, and I just remember being like, man, one day I'm gonna know Jay-Z, like and then I told him that story one time, and he gave me like a Rockefeller chain before, and like done all this type of,
Wow.
he's been a very cool person to
What
me throughout my
did he
career.
remember? Did he remember when you brought up the story about Cast Tech? Did he remember any of those details
Yeah,
like
he
you?
did. He did. He remembered like being there. He didn't remember like this. He went to a lot of schools, so he couldn't remember what
Mhm.
exactly that day, but he remembered that tour he was talking about. And I remember he was like reminiscing about how he used to rock like Ye's and Cartiers and how he got that from Detroit. And I remember I had some Cartiers on while we was at dinner talking about it, and Beyonce was there too, and she like was talking about, like, we were like talking about Cartier glasses, and she had some Cardis and stuff like that. It was cool.
That's real cool, man.
Hmm.
Have, have you done a tour like that? High school to high school? You're so inspirational.
I have done something like that, but not like being at that level of an artist where you're like it would be like doing one now. You know what I'm saying? Like I haven't done one now, but I would though, and I've gone back to Cass obviously a few times, but
Yeah.
yeah, I would.
And you built a studio there.
Yeah, I built a recording studio there and whatnot, and I'm really like, I want the students to use it more. Like they have a lot of my like platinum plaques hanging in the studio, and people use it, but I really want like the students to. Yeah, I guess they just have to figure out times. Like I want it to be like an after school program or something where people could like rent the studio out for hours or make a project, and that be like count as a credit, or something, because I know how important it is for some of those kids at Cass to like get their art off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Mm,
I was a performing arts major.
mm.
That was my curriculum.
Yeah, yeah. Mine wasn't performing arts, but I ended up being in all the performing arts stuff. Like I had Miss McCormick. I would do I was a part of the like drama club and all of that. I was in human services or something like that. I can't even, something like that.
Huh.
Something that
I,
had that.
I guess you are. I guess you are working in human services in one way.
Yeah, 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 man. But like, I hope that answers your questions with like Juneteenth and you know.
Oh, for sure, man, for sure. Just last question for you before we wrap up here.
Mm-hmm,
Um, you dropped Detroit 2
mm-hmm,
in 2024. You dropped Michigan earlier this year. Are we getting any new music? At the end of this year, next year, when is the next Sean project so we can look out for it?
yeah, I've been diligently working on it. So yeah, I mean, I'm 100% gonna drop some new music soon. So
Like we
I was just on
this
the,
year?
yeah, I've been doing a lot of features, like you said, that Michigan thing, and I've did some features with my homie Leon Thomas, and I'm on a Carter 6 with Lil Wayne. Like I've been warming back up as far as with features, but yeah, I'm definitely, yeah, absolutely this year for sure. Yes, 100%.
Sounds good. Sounds looking forward to it.
Thank you. Yeah,
Big Sean, Detroit native,
yes, sir.
technician, 10 toes down, strong ass brother. Thank you so much, man, for your time, man. I really appreciate it.
Man, you too, man. You too, LZ. Keep up the great work, man, and appreciate your voice. Much love to your son too. Much love to your family.
Thanks, brother. Take care. Stay safe.